Hi, I'm Ben Wojdyla. Today on Saturday Mechanic, we're going to install an aftermarket intake. You've had your relatively new car for several years. It's now out of warranty, and that means that you get the chance to play with it, at least with the engine, make it better, make it faster even. That's what a lot of folks do, especially with these kinds of cars. A new BMW's got twin turbos on their straight six. Why not make it even faster? You can do that without spending too much money or too much time or even putting the engine at too much risk. The first thing that most people do is put on a new intake system. It lets the engine breathe freer, it gives you a couple of horsepower, and it might even save you a little gas. But the coolest part about it is that it actually makes the car sound better. I know that's silly, but it makes it sound, you can hear those turbos screaming when you step on the gas, which is really fun. This car comes with this whole intake system, and that's actually designed primarily to keep the air clean when it's coming into the engine, but also to keep the engine quiet. When air is coming in, this whole upper intake system is vibrating, and at certain RPMs it vibrates a lot, and BMW or any manufacturer adds air volumes to the intake system in order to quiet that down. Adds a lot of weight, adds a lot of plastic, adds a lot of ugly parts. Why not take it all off, put something simple on? That's what we're going to do today. You actually want to investigate different kinds of intakes, whether you want a cold air intake, whether you just want a cone filter style intake, whether you want to route it somewhere else into the car, stuff like that. So settle on the parts you want before you even dive into replacing them. We've got a simple cone filter system that's going to go on this car and make it sound a lot better. So here's what we're going to be installing today. These are cone filters with a little adapter on the end that fits into the intake hoses that are routed directly to the turbocharger. They've got a metal mesh that's folded up, and inside that mesh is actually a cotton element, and you spray that down with an oil. This red oil on this one I think comes from K&N, but you can get it in any color and from several brands. What you do is you spray that on so the combination of oil and cotton and mesh traps all the stuff that would come into your intake. It's actually a lot lighter. There's a lot more flow to it. It does end up making your engine louder though, which is what some people are after. So in order to get these into the engine, we actually have to take off this intake tube, the air box, and get down into the engine a little bit. It's nothing major, but you have to get all this stuff cleaned out. We'll start with that point and get going on this upgrade. So in order to get all this stuff out, we're going to start by pulling this cover on this box out. Actually, a little too tight for my fingers to get to work, so I'll use a little screwdriver and pop these off. Pull this out, set that aside. Anytime you do an upgrade on a car, you really want to hang on to the old parts or the original parts in case you want to sell it. Most of the time when you sell a car, upgrade parts are not an advantage. People look at them and they go, somebody's been hot rodding this car. So anytime you want to sell them, put the old parts back on. This car specifically has several components that we'll need to pull off, like this vacuum hose has to come out. So you pop that off, and there's a little clip here. So that just comes off. You set that to the side so it's out of the way. Make sure it doesn't get damaged. And this hose actually pulls off. Again, you want to be careful not to damage anything. There's a couple of screws up here that I'll have to pull off real quick. Most of the upper intake pieces for new cars are really super simple to work on. It's a lot of plastic and screws together or glues together, just an interference fit or clips most of the time. You'd be surprised how many pieces you can take off with just a screwdriver. All right, so we got these screws out. I like to put those right back on so that I don't lose them. Like I said, you may want to replace all these pieces. It's really unlikely that any kind of upgrade here on this intake side will damage your car. What has occasionally happened, or I've seen, is the cold air intakes that route tubes down low into the fascia of the car. Every once in a while, you'll hear somebody who has driven through a really big puddle and sucked up a lot of water and sucked that into the engine, and that just, it causes havoc. It basically destroys the upper side of your engine, and that's really bad. I don't really like those kinds of low-end cold air intakes for street cars, but you know, these kinds of cone filters that sit up high in the car are fine. So in any case, we're gonna keep going. There's a hose clamp here that we're gonna loosen, and actually a hose clamp way back there that's going to be a pain in the butt to get to. So we're going to loosen this first one. Okay, and the other one you're never going to be able to see, but I can get in there and get it. Okay, so I've got all the hoses loose, and we're going to try and pull these away now. Okay, so this one is free, and that means we can actually pull the whole air box out. All right, so with a little bit of wrestling, actually there's some wires out here I have to pull off. Again, your car will vary. All right, so now that we've got the air box off, we can actually see what's going on down here. You see, here's our throttle here. It's electronic throttle body, and you've got intake tubes going from here and here. Those actually go down to the intercooler and then back up into the throttle, upper intake, down into the engine. So what we're going to do is take advantage of these tubes, this one here and this one here, and we'll put our filters in here. Okay, so here's the filter oil. I just got it, like I said earlier, this one's from K&N, but you can get it wherever you like, and you really just spray it on. Like I said before, it's red or pink. It makes it a lot easier to tell where you've sprayed it on. You want to get a reasonably good coat, but you don't want to lay it on too thick so that you're introducing oil into the intake. You just want to saturate that filter. When you saturate the oil, that actually acts to collect the very, very fine particulate, like really fine dust and any kind of nasties that you don't want in the engine bay. So I'll wipe that down real quick, and then we'll put it in that back intake tube. All right, so we can actually get going on putting this in now. There's a lot of wires in here, which is kind of a pain in the neck, but I'm going to slide this in and make sure it seats in there, and then easy as tightening it down with your little screwdriver. Sorry you can't really see it that well, but can't really see much well in this back part of the car anyway. All right, so we'll move on to the front one. And this time you'll be able to see what's going on. So basically, we're just going to slide this tube in. Make sure it's all the way down into that intake, and then since this slid over, we're going to actually pop that back into its track. And then tighten everything down. Okay. So now we've got that all set up. We can just tighten down this clamp. You don't want to crush these things. You just want it good and firm so it doesn't come out. And that's not going anywhere. We'll hook up this vacuum line. All right, with that vacuum hose attached, we're pretty much done with this upgrade. The thing is, almost anybody can do this to their car. It might not look like this, but there are kits available for almost everything. It gives you several benefits. First, you might get a couple more miles per gallon, you might get a little bit more under the hood, but there are two more important benefits. First, you never have to pay for filters again since these are reusable. Second, the car sounds really cool. If you have any questions about this upgrade, feel free to leave them in the comments section below.